Welcome to our series, Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin on Two Luckies,
the podcast. This is season 2, episode 19 for my lady.
Well, right away, we're starting off with Mary and Chaz in the wagon, and they zoomed in on what looked like a big barrel and had the name France on it. And from the conversation that Mary was having with Pa, it looks like they picked up some dishware or some kind of plates that came all the way from France, and Chaz was just happy enough to have transported them from Mankato to this place. But they're going to the Widow Thurman's. This is a new character for us. And it looks like they got to the house that was in a previous episode.
Oh, gosh, I wish I remember the name of it.
What was the guy's name?
I can't think of it.
He had the wife who was a dancer who he said
who had died
away.
like 20-something years ago, and he wouldn't admit that she had passed away. He kept saying that she was going to be coming back. But it looks like the cleaned up version of that house. But we forgot to mention he's got the dream team of horses and jingling.
They're jingling.
He has the season 1 shirt.
Season 1.
Yeah, he's rocking that indestructible shirt. And he's only with Mary, which is unusual. It's an unusual thing to just see one of the children like this. Yeah,
but he arrives to the house anyway, and it's funny. She asks him if he needs help. He's like, no, I got it. He's moving this barrel like it weighs a few hundred pounds. And
it probably does.
Nobody offered him help. Come on, Mary, let's go inside and
make
get something
lemonade.
To drink.
He's out there by himself. Well, she did ask for him to wait for... She has somebody there that helps her, some man she was talking about that was going to be coming in to help water the animals or help with the animals.
Right.
And she was suggesting that another man help him. She was never suggesting that either her or Mary help her, that's for sure. I get the feeling that these dishes were ordered while the Widow Thurman's husband was still alive.
Yeah, and his name was Arthur.
His name was Arthur, and then they're traveling from France. In the interim, he passed away. But the reveal of these beautiful, beautiful dishes, they just look like plain white plates. I, from our vantage point, they didn't look very special. They were packed in straw in this huge barrel that was very heavy. And Mary was, oh my gosh, she loves the bling. She really does. She loves Willie and Nellie's house because it's all blinged out. Remember she got starry-eyed.
I've said this before. She's all about the bling.
She really does. And the old set of dishes that this widow is getting rid of, Mary is extremely interested in. She starts inquiring about what's going to be happening to them. And the widow actually offers to give the plates, her old set of plates, as payment, because they were still expensive plates, but they weren't going to be used anymore, to give as payment for this cabinet that he's building her, a china cabinet, to hold her new dishes. That's what's happening.
Right.
Well, Charles is very upset about this because he needs the money because Mr. Cash on the Barrelhead tends to lend. He tends to borrow more than he does anything else. Credit. And we know he needs the money. And he actually gets very upset with Mary because Mary was very interested in this idea of the cabinet work being payment for these other plates and how Ma would love them and how it would make things so pretty in the house and everything else.
You know, to be honest with you, her old plates look better than the new ones.
I think so too. The old plates had a blue floral design around the edge of it. They actually were kind of prettier. The other ones just look plain, but who knows, whatever it was, they're probably some kind of expensive china or something from France. But I just thought it was interesting to see Pa get so grouchy because that was an unusual thing. He doesn't normally say that. And this woman has so much money that they have their own ice house.
Their own ice house.
She has ice. And Charles says, well, we could have one too, but I just haven't gotten around to building it because he's building everything for everybody else for money because that's how it goes, I guess.
Way to go, Chaz.
Way to go, Chaz. But now we have the introduction of something we have not seen in a while. We got the pipe.
Report.
He's over here smoking the pipe while Carrie is sitting on Ma's lap because we're over at the Ingalls farm and we're inside the house and Carrie is sitting on Ma's lap looking like she's getting her hair tended to somehow or brushed, and I want to see where they're going with this, but we haven't seen the pipe in a while.
Yeah, it's been a few episodes,
the pipe
but they
is
brought
back.
it out.
Woohoo!
Well, like I said before, Mary is definitely all about that bling.
She really likes it.
She is in the middle of the Chaz house there and talking this thing up. And oh my goodness, the dishes were so beautiful. And they had their own ice house. And oh boy, oh gee, oh golly. And old Chaz just really ain't having much of it.
Well, he seems upset, I think, because he's unable to give her the finer, he can't buy fine china and all this other stuff, and he's making all this fine furniture for other people, but he doesn't have any time to do that. He suggests getting Mr. Edwards and making some ice houses, and Ma really doesn't seem interested in that. She was like, we really don't need that.
Right.
But they were talking about how they preserve the ice, which I thought was interesting. They harvest the ice when everything was frozen in the wintertime, and then they put sawdust and straw over it in a... I think they were dug like low in the ground, the ice houses, and then it would keep all summer, which the thought of that, just by covering something with straw, you can keep the ice staying like that is really interesting. I mean, we just don't do things like that. But we find out why Charles needs all this money.
Oh, yeah. He owes Sprague at the bank. He owes him money.
Well, he bought those extra acres, so it's probably that.
Cash on the barrelhead, huh?
Yeah, but Ma wants more time with him more than anything else. That's what she says, more than dishes, more than anything else. She wants to have more time with him, but he's trying to work diligently to pay off his loan at the bank. So Mr. Cash on the Barrelhead still has a loan, and he's keeping that up for us.
Way to go, Chad.
Woohoo! Charles goes over to the bank, and Mr. Sprague was actually happy. He's usually kind of a sour guy. There's a whole episode about him. Laura kind of softened him up and became friends with him because they have fishing in common. And he is the one who is the holder of the loan. He was thinking, wow, you're a day early coming to pay the loan. And he was excited about that. And when Charles was like, no, I'll be ready to pay the loan tomorrow when it's due. So he does have the money. He's going to have the money to pay off his loan in full, but he wanted a little extra loan for $8.
$8.
And then Mr. Sprague went from being all happy and smiling, his face dropped, and he was not having it. He's looking all kind of, skeptical and everything else.
He showed why his first name is Ebenezer.
Ebenezer Sprague, and he was not looking to give this $8 personal loan that was going to supposedly be paid back during harvest time, which when he has time to harvest anything, while he's working at the mill and he's doing all this cabinetry.
He's never home.
He's never really home, and that was the thing that Ma had said. She wants more time with him. So here's what happened. He does not get the loan for the $8 because Mr. Sprague was like, personal things should not be borrowed for. You should just be better off doing without it. In a way, he's kind of right. While Charles is now delivering this cabinet, and she puts these very plain looking china dishes, which I'm sure are very expensive, in the cabinet. He gets to looking around at the plates because she gives him a sandwich with milk to drink with the sandwich, which I despise that still to this day. The thought of drinking milk with meals in any way, shape, or form is not on my menu. But while he's drinking this milk and he's looking at these plates, he gets to dreaming about the plates, looks at the woodwork that she has. I guess her husband, before he died, had done a lot of work on the house. I didn't realize that he had built.
Supposedly, yeah, he built the house.
He had done the building and a lot of the construction and things of that in the house, and he had purchased some kind of expensive stain or coating for the woodwork. He had redone it, didn't work, and he had redone it in a lot of the other rooms, but he didn't live long enough to be able to refinish it in this particular room. So now Charles has now bartered the work to do the refinishing, which she even said, you're pricing yourself really low here. He is going to refinish all this wood in this room, strip it all down, restain it, refinish it, in trade for those dishes that Mary wanted, that he told her, leave that alone, leave that alone. He was all grouchy about. When Ma wanted more time with him, he chose something to keep himself away from home longer, to get her something that she said she didn't need, which were the dishes. And now this is what he's going to do. He already shook on it. He's going to be over there doing that. And we have a somewhat in a future Lyin, because he says, make sure not to say anything because it's a secret. Well, here we go. We're getting into the whole thing again, but that's what's happening. He's going to be spending a lot of time at this widow's house where they are both the only two people there while he's refinishing this wood while no one else knows why he's there. And he's going to be spending more time away from his wife when she asked for more time with him. so he can get her a set of dishes that she already said she didn't really need because she wanted the time. That's how we've set it up for you. Now let's see what kind of buttons they press for us.
Where do you think this is going to go?
Oh, I got a feeling. I got a feeling. Hey, we knew it was coming.
All righty.
Woohoo!
Here it comes.
Charles wakes up super early in the morning and somehow that cow was ready to be milked. I mean, it was still dark outside. He comes in. He already somehow knows how to make his own lunch and he's getting himself all ready. Keith left Carolyn in bed. She's going, what are you going to do with the lunch I made for you last night? He told her that he had extra work to do at the mill and that's why he was getting an early start, and we already know that was a lion. And then he goes over to the mill and he's tossing bags into that wagon as fast as he can go. Mr. Hansen's like, hey, hold on a second. What are you doing? And he asks Mr. Hansen, who owns the mill and runs the mill, for him to be able to get out early for the next few days because he needs to have the time.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hansen said, oh, is it another side job? And Charles says, well, something like that. And we can say, is that a lion?
Not really a lion, no, but he didn't tell him what he was doing.
He's going around the bush, so he's dancing around that bush on that. So we won't call that necessarily a lion, but he's got a plan in place. And how, I mean, wouldn't it get back to Ma that he wasn't at the mill all day when he said he was going to be working extra hours at the mill and now he's doing less hours
Right.
at the mill? But either way, that's what's going on.
Look, Walnut Grove is the biggest small town you'll ever see. So Chaz is over at the bank and he was able to pay off that loan. And since he was able to pay on time, and we see it was $13 that he paid him, now all of a sudden Mr. Sprague is very interested in offering him that $8 loan that he asked for.
He was downright friendly. He was smiling.
Oh,
yeah, he was
boy,
like,
but-
hey, I'm ready to give you that loan.
But old Chaz just turned around and threw his words right back at him and says, nope, you're right. There's no sense in borrowing money for something I don't really need.
Which, I mean, he was like, I didn't mean to drive your business away, Mr. Sprague says. And I thought that was kind of funny, but he actually did drive his business away because he would have
But-
had another $8 loan.
Didn't I say earlier that there's no biggest small town than
Oh, they
Walnut
found
Grove?
a way.
Well, there's Laura, Mary, and Willie, who, by the way, Willie's now got that Chaz looking. We're
Yeah,
going
he
to call
has,
it
like,
the
his little-
season 2 shirt.
He's got
for
his
him.
little uniform on. He's got this shirt on. It's kind of red and white stripy. He's got his suspenders on and the same pair of pants, but now this seems to be like his default outfit that he's wearing. But he does look like a Shrinky Charles.
He does kind of look
He
like
looks
him.
like somebody took Charles and Shrinky digged him and turned him into Willie.
But they're having an argument which turns into a bet about when fish bite the best, whether
Right,
there's
if the
a full moon.
has...
So, yeah, don't worry. I'll ask Pa, who's normally at the mill over
well,
there.
supposed to be doing more hours.
But guess who's not at the mill?
And Mr. Hansen has no idea where he is and doesn't know anything about fish. But Laura was saying that fish bite better during full moon. Willie was saying that there was no proof that the moon had anything to do about the hunger of fish. And when Laura said that she could prove it right now because they bet their best Aggies on it, she went running over looking for Pa at the mill because that's where he was supposed to be. That's where he said he was going to be. So she actually kind of caught him in his lion. And then she lost her Aggie because Mr. Hansen knew nothing about whether the moon and fish had anything to do with each other. And because she had said she could prove it right now, Willie won her Aggie from her because he said she had to pay up because she said she could prove it right now. Yes.
And she's not really worried about it because, like she said, I'll just win it back from him later.
And she had a big smile on her face, and even Mary, because Mary was feeling bad about it, because Mary is very much sticking to the rules, and she said, well, by the rules of what you said you could do it now, and she was apologizing for it, saying that, you know, the pub not being here kind of caused the problem. But Laura was undeterred. She was like, I'll just win it back from him anyway, and she's really good at marbles, so we know she can do it. We got a Carrie report.
Yay, Carrie.
Yay, Carrie. She's sitting at the table eating her food with her hands, no utensils, while it is all of the women of the family at the Ingalls farm, and Charles is missing.
He's missing in action.
Yes. So Ma is sitting there with the girls, and we're finding out that Laura should have known better than to be gambling, and that your father is not there to win your bets for you. That's what, but this came up that if Pa was at the mill, then that's what would have happened. And when this is dark, so I don't understand this. They're eating dinner awfully late. Maybe they were waiting for him.
They might have been waiting for him.
The girls didn't even help clean up the dishes, which is a normal thing for them to do. They were going up to study before bed. He comes out. He comes up with the jingling team of horses.
They were jingling down the road.
From the 100-Mile Walk episode. And he's outside. It is full on dark. He has missed dinner completely with the family. I mean, it's still there. She's got it ready. But when Ma comes out to talk to him, he has no idea that she knows anything about whether or not he had been lying. And he says to her, "Oh, I'll be right in there. I had extra work to do at the mill." And she stays quiet. She said, "You were at the mill all day?" And he says, "Yep. I'm going to be there for, next couple of days. I'm going to be there extra time." So she already knows that he's lying. She goes inside, talks to Mary, gives her a kiss goodnight. And she asks her, "Are you sure he was not at the mill?" And Mary's like, "Well, I'm extra sure. I mean, Mr. Hansen said he wasn't there."
Right.
So, I mean, not only did she not see him there, but she had an adult to corroborate it for her. And now Ma is chopping wood. So all of she wanted more time with him. She's got to pick up his chores because he's doing extra work to get her dishes she didn't really need. When she wanted more time, she's getting less time and more chores from his whole plan over here. And we got another Carrie report because Carrie's over there standing there with Jack while Ma is chopping wood while her husband is off doing something else. Did I catch it up? Are we all caught up? All right, you're all caught up now.
We're caught up. So while Ma's outside chopping wood and handing the kindling over to Carrie, she's growing up.
She is. She's carrying it in all by herself without any help. She's going to get the door on her own. She's growing up.
And Ma gets a visit from Mr. Burnside, who we find out is the other helper that's working at the Widow Thurman's. And he came over to bring over some
pickled pears from his wife.
Pickled pears.
His wife had promised to give pickled pears because Charles loves them, and I guess she was going to be pickling, and she was giving them to Mrs. Ingalls to have. And Mr. Burnside kept them in his wagon for 3 days when he was supposed to be giving them over to Charles, while Charles was over at the Widow Thurman.
Ooh, yep. He definitely spilled the beans. So now Ma knows that he's over there in the afternoon. And then we see her going into town with Carrie, who asks, "Where's Pa?"
Yeah, she immediately says,
She's
"Where's Pa?"
lines.
She talks to Mr. Hansen like she's got lines and everything. She's doing good.
She goes, "Oh, you just missed Charles." He said, "Oh, I didn't come here to see Charles.
Well, she said she wasn't looking for him.
Lyin. That's exactly why you were in town. You're trying to be a sleuth."
Yeah, she said she was the only reason she was going in there is because she was going to the mercantile, and we know that is untrue. And she even says, when Mr. Hansen says, "Do you know what Charles is doing?" And she said, "No, what is he doing?" Now, don't you think that's it? She said, "We just haven't had time to talk." She has a feeling. She's worried about it. She heard from this Mr. Burnside that Charles's wagon is there every day at the Widow Thurman's house. And then Mr. Hansen says, "You need to talk to Charles because he is doing way too much. He's working a full day here. He's leaving early and he's going to do another job. And I don't know what that job is." So neither one of them, Mr. Hansen or his wife, have any idea what's going on, but they are in communication with each other, and this isn't looking too good for Charles.
No, but the writers are definitely, teeing us up for a big amount of lying.
And we're hoping for another category here, but sometimes they only give us some lying, but I got a feeling they're cooking up some crying, and we haven't even had any fish dying, so we'll figure. No, they've been light on the dying lately, but I have a feeling the season end is coming up soon, and they've been saving up all those buttons for those last ones.
Let's see if they bring it.
All right. Well, Ma walks into the mercantile with Carrie in tow, just as the Widow Thurman. They got a lot of widows in this show.
Yeah.
Just as the Widow Thurman is standing there in her elegant dress, and she's got a very expensive hat on, and she looks all put together, and she's supposed to be young, but I don't know what they consider young. I think Ma looks younger than she does, but whatever. They're talking about how young she is. She's talking to Mrs. Olson about this very expensive fabric that's going to be going over to the seamstress, Mrs. Whipple, who Mary works with very often when they need extra money, she works for Mrs. Whipple. But this beautiful fabric, it really is a pretty color. They're gushing over at her and Mrs. Olsen how wonderful this fabric is, and it's so expensive. And Mrs. Olsen is over the moon to have a customer who's so refined and has such expensive tastes and everything else. It makes her just feel so good about herself. And
somebody who's so high class.
This is so high class. And then Mrs. Olsen is always trying to give Mrs. Ingalls some kind of serviceable kind of fabric or something that's, can do hard washing and, like last longer. And now Ma all of a sudden picks out a very expensive 45 cents a yard fabric that she wants a yard and a half for, which I'm thinking, what is she going to make a shirt out of it? Because really, that's not enough for a dress or anything like that. I don't know what she's looking to do, but she is spending money that Mrs. Olsen says, isn't that very dear? Isn't that very expensive? So we're going to find out what's happening, but Ma looks like she's feeling a little... Well, I don't know, drab in comparison or something. And she knows that this widow is going home and that her husband, Mr. Ingalls, is over there.
The funny thing about it is that Ma goes to Negative Town, and I can see why she's doing that. But, in the series, Chaz has never done anything to show anything else, right? But she goes to Negative Town, and who better to run into to just kind of rub salt into that made-up wound but Mrs. Olsen.
Mrs. Olsen's always good for that kind of stuff. She's always good to give. She is always fighting with Mrs. Ingalls. Mrs. Olsen and Mrs. Ingalls are constantly going back and forth with each other. They have kind of a hate-hate relationship instead of a love-hate relationship. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, but it kind of brings up my point I've said in the past. The devil's in the details.
It is. And the widow Thurman did a good job, I think, kind of at avoiding the lying, because she's not allowed to say anything because she knows why Charles is at her house to get dishes for his wife, who is standing in front of her. All right, so let's see where they go.
Yep. We're following Mary and Laura, who are on their way home from school, and Mary's trying to tell Laura to hurry up because we got to get our chores done before Pa gets home or there'll be trouble. And Laura, oh no, he won't. He'll be late. He's gone to sleepy eye.
For Mr. Hanson.
Well, for some reason, they're walking right by the widow Thurman's, and there's Mary. Hey, there's Pa's wagon. What's he doing here? Okay, so now they've seen him there.
Well, and Mary thought, well, maybe Mr. Hanson changed his mind, and that's why he ended up that's why he was still in town. But so when they go home, boy.
Here comes Pa with the dream team jiggling up to the barn, and and we show Ma inside, and Carrie's setting the dishes, and what's Ma tell Carrie? Don't tell Pa about my blouse.
So she's using that fabric she bought as a blouse. She asks Carrie, who is setting the table by herself. She's growing up in the Carrie report. She is growing up. She set the table all by herself without anyone asking, and Ma asks her not to say anything, which we call a Lyin, because you know the reason, but you're not saying it. And then Pa's outside, and when Mary and Laura say, oh, wow, you're home early, he goes,
how was your day?
How was your day? He goes, oh, you know how it is with that long trip to Sleepy Eye.
So he did his own
Lyin, and he was caught, and he's been caught the whole time. He keeps getting caught. He's getting snagged on everything as he's walking by and has no idea that they're on to him. But so far, even Carrie's on to him.
They're all on to him, and just to give an update, still in that season 1 shirt.
He is still in that indestructible season 1 shirt. Mary and Laura are up in bed, and they are wondering why there was Lyin from Pa, and they're worried about the widow being a wicked widow of some sort. They go on this whole thing. They're worried that this widow is going to steal Pa away, and then we see Charles downstairs, and he looks like the cat that got the canary because he thinks he's getting away with all this stuff. Meanwhile, everybody seems to know that he's doing something that he's not saying that he's doing, even though he's saying he's doing something else. And he gets questioned from Ma about the pickled pears. How were the pickled pears? He said they were delicious. And then she asks about Mr. Burnside, and doesn't he work for the widow Thurman? And then how his wagon, somehow Charles and the Dream Team were out there over there at the Widow Thurman's, and he says that he was delivering lumber, which we know is a Lyin again. And then she starts spending money they haven't earned yet, because he starts saying, well, you know, she's going to be fixing up the place, and then that somehow is going to make him have to do more work at the Widow Thurman's. And she's already like, well, I need some things at the mercantile. And he was like, hold on, you know, wait before you buy anything like that, because I like to have the cash in my hand beforehand, which we know is a Lyin, because Mr. Cash on the Barrelhead borrows money all over the place all the time. He even tried to get a loan just in this episode for $8.
The writers are bringing it on this one.
They're bringing it on for us. So he is in a very sticky spot here with his pickled pears, and he's talking about how when he sees Mr. Burnside, maybe someday he'll have to thank him for the pears. Meanwhile, he's seeing this man every day, and his wife already knows it.
Boy, did you see him twitching, though, when he was trying to explain what he was doing over at the Widow Thurman's?
He was really having a hard time keeping up with her, because she has been 20 steps ahead of him the entire time. Even though she's got the wrong conclusion, but she does know a lot more than he thinks. He thinks he's getting over on her, and he's not getting over on anything.
Look, there's a reason this is called Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin.
That's why we called it that. So we're going to be waiting for some crying, though. We need some crying. We feel like everybody's going to stay alive, but somebody needs to cry.
So we see Pa, who's walking with Mary and Laura, and it looks like they're out picking mushrooms.
Before school.
Given the spirit of this whole story and all the mega lying that's happening, they asked Pa if he was going to Mankato again, and he actually told the truth. Oh, sleepy-eyed. He told the truth. He was going over to the Widow Thurman's.
So finally, yay, Chaz, the truth.
Way to go. Too little, too late, but okay. So right away, you got Mary and Laura, who have got it in their heads now, just like Ma, that she's trying to steal Pa away. So they're coming up with all of these scenarios where, you know, she's not as beautiful as she seems, and she's got store-bought and teeth, and that kind of set Chaz off.
He got very angry about that. He was like, you could hurt people's feelings. And Mary is sewing the dress for the Widow Thurman at Mrs. Whipple's, the seamstress's house.
Yes, and they use that as an excuse to go over and see the Widow Thurman by bringing the dress that was only half completed to begin with.
They said they were going to fit the skirt, but they hadn't even basted it together yet, and it was not the part of the process that you would have been actually fitting a skirt. And she knew it. The Widow Thurman knew it. But they came up with this whole excuse so that they saw Pa there, and oh my goodness gracious, like
they're dressed up like a couple of bushes.
Yeah, they actually hid behind. They took some branches and they hid behind it to look like they had a bush there, and then they went over and made the excuse that they were trying to fit this for Mrs. Whipple, and that Mrs. Whipple had told them to do it, which we know is a Lyin. And then they're trying to figure out if there's any chemistry between the two of them. They're not looking very happy about it when they leave, because they really do feel that there's something going on, that there's some kind of power of the Widow Thurman that she's going to get Charles to be interested and leave their family somehow. I don't know where they're getting this idea from, but everyone knows he's lying, and they're all going to Negative Town. Now he's in the mercantile, Charles, charging something to the Widow Thurman's account, says, please don't say anything about it, because, of course, Mrs. Olson said she was just here. She didn't mention that you were doing work for her. Gets all excited about how, like, oh, I won't say anything, because he asks Mrs. Olson, of all people, he asked Mrs. Olson to stay quiet about something.
I don't want Carolyn to find out.
I don't want Carolyn to find out. It's kind of a surprise. He does try to explain. He knows Mrs. Olson, though. I don't know where his head is at. Mrs. Olson promises that she won't say a thing, which we know is a Lyin, because he wasn't even 2 feet out the door. She was running up the stairs, holding up her skirts, Mrs. Olson, as she's running up there to tell her husband, Nels, all about the fact that Charles is doing secret work at the Widow Thurman, so that, you know, when she has some kind of information, she cannot keep it quiet. And why he thought she could, I have no idea. Well, that fabric that Ma had bought for the 45 cents a yard fabric, she made a very beautiful blouse, and she was wearing it. She was getting all excited, and she was offered the lemon verbena, which is Laura's favorite signature scent. And she put on lemon verbena, and she's waiting there, and Charles walks in, says how good dinner smells, walks right past her, grabs a bar of soap and says he's going to go to the creek, and she is crestfallen. She looks like everything he didn't notice. She was going to start serving dinner wearing this beautiful blouse that she just made out of this expensive fabric. She changes into other clothes and then, to do the dinner. Later on that night, though, the girls were talking up in the loft about how they're trying to figure out how they're going on this whole vein of how a widow is an evil person now and is going to steal their father away. They've really gone down this rabbit hole. And they get yelled at by Pa to go to sleep. The next thing he wants to hear from them is good morning. And he compliments the blouse right before he goes to bed because he's got a lot of work to do tomorrow. He did end up telling them that he was going to be at the Widow Thurman's. Maybe he had some kind of ESP that people were starting to realize, because now town is starting to talk, because of course he had to tell Mrs. Olsen.
Oh boy, and when Ma showed up at the mercantile with the eggs, that just turned into a flat out battle.
Oh my gosh, because Mrs. Olsen now has been inquiring around of everybody who's coming into the mercantile, inquiring of the people who live in town, and found out that Charles has been at the Widow Thurman's every single day for the last week. Ma says that she trusts Charles implicitly and that she knows what's going on. And both of those things are lying, because you have no idea. And if you trusted him, you wouldn't be so upset. So both of those things are, we got to do another one. Another lying, because she was lying about trusting him because she's really feeling unsure here. And she's lying about knowing the whole story because she really has no idea what's happening at all.
And she proved her lying because she ended up walking out to the Widow Thurman's and she sees Chaz and the widow sitting on the front porch drinking a glass of iced tea.
They were drinking iced tea or lemonade, and they were laughing, and he had just taken the big barrel of their new china that was Mrs. Widow Thurman's old china to put into the wagon.
Yep.
And they were sitting out on the porch laughing just as she comes by. And when he gets home, she's all ready to tell him. She even tells the girls to take Carrie outside because she wanted to talk to him on her own. And he says, well, whatever you have to say isn't important. Well, I mean, really, I think she was thinking about talking about having a whole conversation about the way their marriage is going on here. He grabs her hand and brings her outside to the big barrel. She goes in, looks at the plate, and then realizes what was happening. And then we finally, thank you, writers, we get a Cryin, because she realizes that he did all of this stuff, and he admits that he had to tell a whole bunch of white lies to make it happen, because he was trading all of this very laborious labor that he was doing over there to fix all this wood, to be able to do it in trade, to get these dishes for her. And then they use those dishes every night after that and that night. So we had a whole bunch of lying, and we only had one crying, and everyone stayed alive. So there was no dying, but at one point I think Ma thought that her marriage was dying, and so did the kids. So I mean, they kind of wove it in there as a little extra thread of something.
They did, but they were able to at least get those two categories.
They
out
did.
of it. So make sure you join us for the next episode, which is called Centennial.
Yes, that's going to be episode 20, Centennial. Maybe somebody be dying in that one.
We'll see.
So far, they only got hopes and dreams dying, but we'll see what happens.
And that concludes this episode on Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin on Two Luckies.
Two Luckies,
the podcast.
We release these weekly, and there's a whole bunch of them out already, so go check them out.
We'll see you the next time.
We're out.
Two Luckies, the podcast.
Two Luckies, the podcast. Two Luckies, the podcast.
Woohoo! It's that time.
You made it to Fun Fact time. And this episode is going to come out on July 9th, and that is the same day, which was unplanned on our part completely. This is the same day that the reboot of Little House on the Prairie is going to be released.
Can you believe that?
We had no idea. We didn't even know they were rebooting it when we started the podcast. And I saw the article recently. I was like, oh my gosh, our next episode coincides with the release of the reboot of Little House on the Prairie, the new version that they're doing. I forgot how many episodes. I thought it was 8 or something like that. But it comes out on the 9th, which is when this episode is coming out.
See, it really was that good of a show that they had to redo it again.
They did. They liked it so much. It was so nice. They did it twice. I think they've done it a bunch of times now, but who knows? And that is that. So we appreciate you.
Thanks for staying.